All right, great. This is for the commission sheet training. So today we're going to go over different types of commission statements, when you use them, how you fill them out, the whole bit. So first thing I'm going to do is share my screen, and we're going to go over all of them. So my screen's going to mirror here for a minute just because I'm on my laptop, so don't mind me. And I will not really be able to see you because it shows in like this teeny tiny little screen down at the bottom. So if you have a question, just unmute yourself because I can't see any hands raised and I can't see the chat. So, all right. So first thing you're going to want to do when you need a commission statement is you're going to go to roguagent.com and you're going to go to more and then click on documents and resources. And that is going to bring you to this page where you find the random assortment of things that you may use in your day-to-day business that are not available in your SkySlope form. So these documents are just for us. They're things that we've created for all kinds of different reasons. We keep adding to it. So every time an agent has a situation come up that they need maybe a form for or an idea for a form, we'll put it on here, especially if we have our legal team prepare a form or instruct us on how to prepare a form. We put it in here just so there's no question, like it should be good. But if there's ever a question and you need a form that you don't see in here, or if you want to know if you should be using that form or not, please let me know. If I don't have the answer, we'll reach out to Matt and Nick and see if they have the answer for us. So don't be afraid to poke around in here. So commission statements, you will use two predominant commission statements in real estate. One is a commission statement that you give to the title company, and the other is a commission processing form that you use to get paid. So why do we use a commission statement? A commission statement for title lets title know how much you expect to be withheld from the parties at closing. So they don't have a crystal ball. They don't have all of your documents and forms. Like they don't have your listing contract. They don't have your buyer agency agreement. This tells title like, hey, I represent this client. This is how much this client should be spending on the ALTA to pay the parties, either both of the agents or one of the agents or whatever the case may be. So what title does is they get commission statements from both the buyer's agent and the seller's agent to ensure that everybody's numbers jive. And if they don't, that kind of alerts them to a problem. And then they say, okay, we need to go back and we need to have the parties get back together and make sure that the numbers are accurate because we're all human and human mistakes happen. So it's just kind of that secondary step. Title companies will want something in writing. So just telling them something on the phone or putting it in an email usually is not going to fly. And I never suggest that. Make sure that you have it in writing, add it to your SkySlope form, so that, it's in there. You can reference it later should something happen, but always put that on a form and send that out into them. So that's pretty much, kind of how that works when you're submitting a form to title. If your commission ever changes, so if there's a price reduction based on like maybe repairs or an appraisal came in low, you must redo your commission statement for title. So just so you guys know that. All right, to access your commission forms or really any documents and resources, there's two ways to do that. You can click on the title, which is underlined, or you can click on the photo. Either one of those is going to pull up the form that you want to use. So you can see it just downloaded the form and it's going to download it in Word format. And I'm going to go ahead and click that to open it. So we're going to let that do its thing here. All right, here it is. Let me enlarge that. So you're going to see it's going to give you this form here. Now, you see this little bar at the top that says protected file, protected view, be careful, files on the internet, blah, 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 blah. You are going to click this button that says enable editing. You can't edit in here. You can't really type anything in here or save it until you hit this button. So hit this button, enable editing. That's going to completely download it and unprotect it on your computer. And now it's completely editable. So you don't have to print a blank, fill it in by hand, scan it back in. You can edit it straight from here. So on the title commission, so this is the commission statement for the title company. You're going to put in the property address here. Your name goes here. Seller's name goes here. Buyer name is here. It's important to put in the purchase price here. And why do we put that in? All the parties know what the purchase price is, but maybe the purchase price changes sometime between the time that you put in your commission statement till the time of closing. So this is going to alert both you and title that the commission is based off of this particular purchase price. And if this purchase price changes, then a new commission statement needs to be submitted. Okay. Right here, you're going to put the gross commission amount. So this can mean something different depending on if you represent the seller or the buyer. So let's say, for instance, that you have a listing with a seller that's the purchase price is $100,000, just for easy numbers, and your commission as the listing agent is 3%. So your side of the commission would be $3,000. So 100,000 times 3%, $3,000. And then in the contract, your seller has also agreed to pay the buyer's agent 3% as well, which bumps that total commission due from seller to $6,000. So you're going to put $6,000 in the gross commission amount. I hope that makes sense. So $3,000 for the listing agent, $3,000 for the buyer's agent, total of $6,000. Okay. So that's how you would fill that out for a seller. Now, if you represent the buyer and not the seller, and let's say the same scenario is going on, you have a $100,000 contract, and on page 2, paragraph 3, you put in 3% to be paid, commission to be paid to you as the buyer's agent on behalf of your client. So that's $3,000. And let's say you have a BAC with your client that says they're going to pay 4% total. So you take 4% minus 3%, that's $3,000 that the seller is paying for, but your client's also paying $1,000 because you have a 4% BAC. So the gross commission amount at the top is going to be $4,000. You are just the buyer agent, so you're only going to calculate what you are getting. We are never going to assume the relationship that another party has with their client. Do you understand how that works? So if you represent the buyer, you're going to put in your commission information, and you are not going to report the listing agent's information. This is where a lot of agents get tripped up, and they're like, well, if I'm getting 3%, the listing agent's getting 3%, so I'm going to mark down the seller's stuff because I'm assuming what this other agent is getting. You're not going to do that. If you don't know the information, don't put it on here. It just confuses the Jesus out of everybody. Okay. So down below, we have 2 categories. We have seller side of HUD or ALTA and buyer side of HUD and ALTA. This is where you're going to tell title what column to put it on for the parties, the debit or the credit. Okay. So think of everything that we report in monetary amount in real estate has to follow an accounting principle. There's a debit and a credit. There's an in and there's an out. There's an expense and then there's money coming in. So this is the principle that you have to work with when doing commission statements, is that accounting principle. For every deduction, there is an addition. It's just a matter of where it goes to. So back to if we were representing the seller and we have 3% on one side, 3% on the other side, we would put listing agent commission from seller, meaning that the seller is paying for it, $3,000. Buy side commission from seller, which means the buyer agency commission of $3,000. The seller is paying for it. And then where it says add broker fee from seller, you would put $685. Then the buyer side of the HUD or ALTA, we don't represent the buyer in this transaction, so we're going to leave it blank. And then total commission due Realty One, you're going to put $3,685. That's adding up the listing side of the commission plus the broker fee. So that's $3,685 or whatever your numbers are. Now on the flip side, if we represent the buyer, okay, remember we represent the buyer, 3% is coming from the seller per page 2, paragraph 3, plus we're collecting another 1% from the buyers on a $100,000 purchase. This is how we would fill this out. Where it says buyer side commission from seller, we're going to put $3,000 to represent their 3%. And then we are going to jump down to where it says buyer side, HUD or ALTA, additional commission from buyer. We're going to put $1,000, which represents our 1%. And then we're going to put our $685 for our broker fee. Then what you do is you add all the lines together. So we have 3,000 here, we have 1,000 here, and we have 685 here. And then you're going to put $4,685 down as total commission due Realty One. Now I know the listing side of the commission for the seller isn't filled out, and you know that the agent's getting commission and their broker fee, which you know they're probably going to collect, isn't filled out, and you know the listing agent is getting it. That's not for you to report. You let the listing agent put that in because they are submitting in their own commission statement. So where we get tripped up a lot of times is we try to assume what the other person is getting because there's a line for it. You want to fill it out. You don't have to fill in all the lines. You only have to fill in the lines that matter to you and to your clients. Yeah, we have some additional information down here. We put this in just because if you don't put it on here, the title company is going to hound you for it later. So you might as well just fill this in. HW means home warranty amount. So if you're doing a home warranty with, say, America's Preferred, and you're putting in $500 for a home warranty, and then you could put home warranty company here on there if your client is paying for the home warranty. And then also additional invoices. This would be, say, maybe you prepaid for a dye test, or maybe there's a technology fee because it's a foreclosure, or something of that nature. If there's an additional invoice that needs to be paid to someone or reimbursed to you on the Alta, that's where you would put that in. And then you would attach a copy of an invoice or a paid receipt to the commission statement so that the title company has that and can reimburse you for any expenses. 9 chances out of 10, you're never going to fill in that line, but there are certain circumstances where that happens. So we have a line for it. All right. Any questions on title commission statement? Any questions? No? All right, moving on. Also, I should have mentioned when you're done filling that out, make sure that you save that as a PDF before you send it over to title. If you just fill it out and then you forward it as a Word document because it came from the site, it's not going to save the data that you put in there, and it'll go over to them as a blank document. So just make sure that you save that as PDF and then send the PDF, not the Word document. More than I can count.
I actually have it as a PDF. I have like a file that has blank documents, and then I open it up as a PDF, and it's, for me, I don't know if it works on everyone's computer, but it ends up being a fillable PDF. So then once I'm done filling it in, I then do save as, and I save it to like my file for my, client or whatever, and then send it over that way. So I always have a blank document. I think it's easier. I mean, I don't know how it works on just a Word document, but it's pretty easy filling it as a PDF.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I've never done it that way. I've always had it as a Word document just because I can go in and I can add another page or add things. But yeah, I mean, if you're doing it real quick, it might be a great way to do it. Next, we're going to go over the general commission processing form. So if you look in here, we have a couple different processing forms depending on your situation. So if you are an independent agent, you would use the commission processing form. If you are in the mentee program, if you are a mentee in the mentor program, you and your mentor have to fill in this commission processing form while you are enrolled in the mentor program. If you are a team, you must fill in the team commission processing form, and that is right here. They're all very, very similar. They just have a couple extra items that accounting needs to know. It is very challenging for the girls in the back end who don't get to interact with everybody every day like I do to remember kind of who goes what or where. So we have these processing forms to really help support them so that mistakes aren't made. So just make sure that you're using the correct form for the correct situation so that it doesn't delay any type of pay. Or have you getting paid too much or too less? Because if you get paid too much, then you have to pay it back. And then if you get paid too less, then people get angry with us. And it's usually just a thing of not reporting properly. So we do have these forms just to make sure that we're continuing to provide speedy paychecks to everybody because we like to get those out as soon as possible. So this just makes it, this is just a speed thing to get those out quickly. So first, we're going to go over the general commission processing form. This is the one you will use the most often. It is the most common situation. So I will go ahead and open that. And again, it's going to pull it up in Word, and you're going to hit that enable editing button. And this way you can go ahead and edit it. So you use the commission processing form. Once you've closed, you have your fully signed ALTA, you have your check, and you're getting ready to turn that in. There's a couple ways that you can turn it in. You can fill this out and you can hand it to your office TC. Or if you're doing remote deposit, you upload the copy of your check, your ALTA, you deposit the money, report the deposit, and then you can go ahead and upload the commission cover sheet to your SkySlope file. Either one of those works just fine as long as you're following the steps that are needed. But this will tell your TC and accounting that you're fully done, everything's closed, and that you're ready to be paid. So first thing you want to do is fill out the date, and that is the date in which you're filling out the form. Please don't put the closing date on there. Put the date in which you are filling out the form and turning in your money. I actually use it to track, how long it takes for people to get their money once they turn in their file 100% complete. So if you closed a deal on 5/30, but for whatever reason, you didn't turn in your information until today, 6/12, and this form says 5/30 on it. When it comes to my desk to authorize your wire, one of the first questions I'm going to ask is, why has this been sitting so long? Why hasn't this been paid? And they'll say, well, we just got it. So putting in the date that you're submitting it in just kind of helps me track to make sure we're pretty vigilant on getting the paychecks out as soon as possible, because that was always a pet peeve of mine when I was an agent, that when I closed, I wanted paid. So I like to track that. Call me a control freak or whatever. I just like to track it. All right, property address. Again, you're going to put in that property address just so we can attach it to the right file. Your sales price here, we ask you for that just in case the sales price has changed, so we could update your SkySlope. If it goes in with the wrong sales price, it throws off the back. So your TCs will just check just to make sure that they didn't miss something. There wasn't a issue in the back end of the system. And then you're going to put your name here because we want to know who to pay. All right, so first thing you're going to do is you're going to put in the gross commission. Your gross commission is the total amount of commission minus the broker fee that was taken from the client. Make sure that you're putting in the gross commission on the ALTA. Do not put in the amount of the check because there's lots of different variables that can occur with the ALTA. So things like escrow money, broker fees, those types of things. So you want to report just the gross commission on page 2 of your ALTA that goes to you. So in the scenario we were talking about, the $100,000 sale price at 3% commission, in the gross commission area, we would put $3,000. Next, on the second line, we would put in broker fee collected, and that would be $685. So then the total GCI means the two of those together, how much credit we received as a broker, is going to be $3,685. All right. Next, we're going to take out any referral fees. So if this seller was a referral, maybe it was a 30% referral, we're going to take out the referral fee based on the gross commission only, not the broker fee. So based on the gross commission only, not the broker fee, unless that is an OpCity referral. OpCity takes from the broker fee as well. So you would subtract the amount of the broker fee, and then you would add all of those things up. So you're adding the gross commission, the broker fee collected, minus the referral fee to get your adjusted gross commission income. Okay, does that make sense for everybody?
That's good. I will look at it. You're welcome.
All right, great. Next, we're looking at the debits to the agent, and that's going to be your fees and adjustments. So first we have the flat compliance fee of $200. And then we have the transaction fee. So the transaction fee is $250 as your base transaction fee. And then you would add $200 per 200,000 on the sales price thereafter. So if it's under 200,000, you just leave the 250 in there. You don't need to write anything. But let's say that it is 410,000, then you would write 450. Is it 450 then? No, if it was 395 or 400, it's 450. I even have to think about it because I don't fill these out a lot. Yes. So if it's
201 is 450.
Yes. So
401 is 650.
So let's say it's 398,000. You would do 250 as your base, an additional 200, which would make that 450. So you would write that 450 on the line, and then you have your 685 broker fee. Okay, so those are all gonna get subtracted out. So you're gonna take the adjusted GCI minus the 200, minus the 250, minus the 685, and then you are gonna have your net commission. Next is your ICA split. Okay, so if you are at 100%, you put 100% there. You put the letters 100. If you're on a 70%, you put 70 in there. A lot of people get those backwards and they'll put 30 or whatever in there. That's not. Your ICA split is what you receive as payment. So if you are on a 70% split, you're going to put net commission. That's going to be your total commission minus your expenses, what that is, times 70%. So then when we take the net commission on a calculator times 70 and hit the percentage on your calculator, it's going to tell you what your check is going to be. And that amount on your commission statement should match what is in your transactions field in zone, should match what is in your direct deposit. Now, there are certain cases that it could be different, and I'll go over those in a minute. The very last line is hand money held by Realty One. So we only want to know if we are holding the hand money. So let's say you have $1,000 in hand money and it was held with Realty One, you mark that on there. And we just need to know that so for balancing measures. So when your file comes into the back office, Kathy, first thing before she cuts any commissions, needs to balance the escrow to make sure that one, the escrow is there and it has cleared, and two, that she moves it from escrow to commission. So we have two escrow accounts outside of our operating account. Real estate offices have two. So you have an escrow account that is visible to the state, and then you have a commission account that only holds commission. So when something closes, she has to go into the state and book that escrow is gone. So we have a sheet that she has to go on to report that escrow is completed and that now it's being transferred to commission. So she has to find that, account for it, and then she has to make the wire transfer on the back end from one account to the other account, because now the escrow can be released. So we do ask you to fill that in just so that everybody's on the same page. Like, yes, we have the escrow money, or no, we don't. She's going to check either way, but it really helps her kind of find it and make sure that you both are on the same page. All right. Then there's a couple questions down at the bottom. Was this an office lead or manager lead? We just like to track that. Has the sign been removed? If a sign removal form has not been placed in for that property, we cannot cut your paycheck. So make sure that you put that sign removal form in. And then the super lockbox, has that been returned? So again, we cannot pay commissions until that super lockbox is returned. Not trying to be mean, we don't own the super lock boxes. Just, it's not my role. This is an MLS rule, so we don't own those boxes. So we need to know where they're at. And if we don't account for them, we get charged for them, and they're really freaking expensive. So we just ask that you report that, and it's just a reminder for you guys too, because it's so easy to forget those little things. So, all right. So real quick, when could your direct deposit not match your processing form? And it's very rare that it happens, but sometimes it happens. Okay, so here are the reasons why. The most common reason why is that the math ain't mathin'. That's one of the most common. And believe it or not, most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, agents are actually shorting themselves commission, not trying to get paid more on their commission sheets, just because there's an error in the math. If that happens, when these go through, both your TCs and Kathy, check your math to ensure that the amount of the HUD, the amount of the check, and the amount on your processing form match. So even though this form seems like a royal pain in the butt, it has saved agents money more times than I can count. There's people on this call right now where we've caught it, where it's like, wait a minute, the ALTA is wrong, or the check amount is wrong, or oh, such and such just, transposed two numbers, and instead of getting 3,800, they put themselves in for getting 3,200 or something. You know what I mean? So we have these checks and balances just to make sure that everybody gets every penny that they have earned. So most of the time, if your math ain't mathin', you're going to get a call from either one of the TCs or Kathy saying, hey, I added this up and I'm not finding it. And they will mark up the commission sheet and make sure that shows on your transaction too, to show you the updated numbers. So another instance, which is way more rare than just math mistakes, is if you owe money. So if your account is negative and you owe money to the brokerage, that would come out of the amount of your check. You would also be notified. Anthony sends out multiple emails if the account is delinquent. So you would be warned that, like, hey, your next check, unless you pay it in advance, it's being garnished against your next check. Very uncommon, but occasionally it does happen. Occasionally agents ask us to take it out of their check. So either way, you're going to know. But that does happen from time to time. That situation is way more rare than the other. A lot of times it's just a math issue. All right. Questions on this commission processing?
Yes. So say, for instance, we have two agents, in the brokerage that work on the same transaction.
Mm-hmm.
And, on the sheet where we have to put the hand money that's held by Realty One. Now, or especially if, like, say I do a dual where I work both sides, is there like a confusion, or is there a certain person who should, like, in that transaction, that should write the hand money down on there? Or
yes, the buyer transaction. So you only write it once. So, like, if you represent both the seller and the buyer, you're not going to report the hand money twice. You're only going to report it on your buyer's card, because it is your buyer's hand money.
Okay. So then whatever agent in the brokerage is working on
the seller, they would not report it.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's only reported on the buyer end. Now, we occasionally will report it on the seller end if, like, let's say you have, I'm trying to think of who it's common with. Let's say you have EXP. And EXP doesn't have local brokerage locations. So sometimes they will have the co-broke hold the hand money. They will have the seller's agent hold the hand money. In that case, then you would report that we have the hand money because it was given to the seller's broker. The other broker isn't here. But if it's an in-house transaction, always report it on the buyer end, not the seller end. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right, let's jump into another commission processing form. And I'm not going to go over the whole thing again. I'm just going to go over the differences in the two. So we're going to go into the mentee. So if you are in the mentor or mentee program, you would use this commission form as a mentee or as a mentor with the mentee. So those of you in a mentorship program, your mentor must review everything that you do before you submit it in, just because of the problems I said. Until you kind of get your bearings, it can play havoc on the back end of the system, and it could delay your pay. And so we definitely want the mentees and the mentors doing these together for the transactions that happen in the program. So same thing at the top is just general information. The commission here is exactly the same. The fees and adjustments here are exactly the same. And then here we have, why is this not pulling up the right one? This is actually not the right one. And I don't know why this one is attached and it's wrong. Hold on, let me see, because there should be something there at the bottom. Let me see, do we have? I just found a glitch. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have one of the links are broken. I'll fix that link in the title. All right, so here we have, it says right here at the top, mentee commission. We have the information here. You have your same information here. Then we have the same fees here. And then down here, we have a little bit of an extra step. So we have net commission. You're going to put in the ICA split percentage and then the net gross commission income. But we have an additional deduction. So mentor split is 30%. So we want to put that right here and that gets subtracted. And then you have your net check to your agent, meaning mentee. So it's exactly the same, but there's an additional step, which is right here, because that mentor receives an override on the mentee's business when they close while they're in the mentor program. So I'm getting tongue-tied with all these M's. So while the mentee is in the program, there is a 30% override to the mentor who is helping them on those transactions until they graduate out of the program. So I get a lot of questions on like how this works and how the commission works. So I'm going to go over that real quick. For those of you who are not in the mentor program, just hang with me for just a second. So basically the way that the mentor program works is that you are signed up as a mentee for a certain number of transactions, and you are partnered with a senior agent to help you through those transactions and kind of, hold your hand and support you through the beginnings of your career. That mentor is not paid a salary. They're not paid for their time. They're paid based on your production. And we do that as an incentive so that they are helping to support you and get those deals in as quickly as possible. So basically, they only get paid if you get paid. So it's mutual success or no success. And it's been really successful doing it that way. So your mentor receives a 30% split of your business for the first 3 or 5 transactions that you close. And everybody's a little different depending on when they came into the program, whether they came in voluntarily or whether you're a brand new agent. So with the mentor program, if you're on the 70% split as a mentee, if you close a deal that is an office lead, that ICA split percentage will say 70% in there. And then you pay your mentor 30% of your net. However, while you're in the program, and only while you're in the program, if you have an organic sale, meaning you sold a house to your brother, you sold a house to your uncle, your best friend from college bought a house from you, and that lead did not come from the brokerage. As our way of helping you get a boost, we are going to remove our override, meaning you don't pay 30% on that while you're in the mentor program. You only, you get 100%, and then your mentor still gets the 30% override on your net number. Does that make sense? But it has to be an organic sale, meaning that we check the system and we didn't give you that lead. It did not originate from us. This is somebody that you already knew, somebody in your sphere of influence that you went out and got. And we want to reward mentees for doing that. So if it's not an office lead, you get 100% during the program, and then your mentor still gets their split. If it's an office lead, it's 70%, and your mentor still gets their split. Once you exit the mentor program, if you're on a 70% split, you're on a 70% split for everything. This is just a temporary, it's our way of saying, hey, we were there once, we were a new agent once. It's tough business. Your first 5 transactions will make or break you. So we're not going to make it harder on you. We're going to give you that boost, and we want you to take that 30% and reinvest it into your business. Okay? So just wanted to clarify that because everybody gets confused on that. Everybody gets a little confused. So for the first 5 transactions, if it's organic, even if you're on the 70%, you get 100%. If it's an office lead, it's 70%. Make sense? Any questions? No? Okay, great. Another question I commonly get, I just thought about, regardless of which processing form you're using, the brokerage fee. What if I charge more? What if I charge $885 for my brokerage fee? What if I charge $1,000 for my brokerage fee? What do I do? Where do I put it? So you're still going to put gross commission here. And where it says broker fee collected, you're just going to put that $885 in your broker fee. We're not taking the $885. And I've answered so many questions of people like, well, why are you taking it twice? We're not. So here, commission and broker fee, this is a plus. Remember how we talked about debits and credits? This is a plus. This is the credit. This is the debit. So even if you collect $885, it just becomes commission because your TC broker fee does not change. You're adding it in here. It adds into your total commission, and then it subtracts here. But I've had a lot of people get really angry and say, well, you're taking it twice. We're not. You collected it once. We're taking it once. It's a debit. It's a credit. That's how accounting works. It can be super confusing for those of you who have never worked with accounting in any way, but I promise you, it's not a double negative. We have the plus here for your credit, and we have the negative here, which is your debit. It just wipes the two out. And any overage that's in here still becomes part of your adjusted GCI. It just becomes commission. So that extra $200 just becomes commission because there's no debit for it down here. Does that make sense? Am I losing everybody?
No, I got it.
Okay. I can't see anybody, so I don't know. All right. Last one is the team commission processing form. Very much like the mentor form, only slightly different. Let me pull this up. Hopefully I have the right form attached here. I do. All right. Team commission. Again, top is exactly the same. Fees and adjustments are completely the same. Then we have the team ICA split. Your ICA is your independent contractor agreement, ICA. So you're going to put in your net commission here, and then your team ICA split, whatever that looks like. So if it's 100%, you put 100 in here, and then you put your total. So if it's $5,000 net commission, your ICA split is 100%. You're going to put 100%. And then your total team commission is going to be $5,000. 5,000 times 100% is 5,000. Okay. So then, I always get people like try to like, well, I'm getting this and this person's getting that. Like, I don't need to know about all that. I don't need to know what your split is, what your details are. I just need to know what the team is being paid. And then at the bottom, you see how it says agent amount. So all I need to know is if Joffrey is getting paid $1,000 from this deal, I don't need to know the percentage. Just put Joffrey and 1,000. If Nikki is getting paid $500 from this deal, put Nikki $500. If Jessica is getting paid $150 from this deal, just put Jessica $150. It doesn't matter what percentage. It doesn't matter what they're being paid for. It just means that you are asking for the team lead is asking for a reduction in their commission to pay parties on their team or another agent. So you can use this if like you are co-listed with somebody. So say two people like team up and they co-list just this one deal. You can use this for co-list too. So when you have the total net commission of 5,000, let's say Rebecca and Belle do a deal together and they're going to split it 50-50. You would put agent Rebecca Scarnati, $2,500, agent Isabella Hall, $2,500. And that's going to tell Kathy that, oh, there's two agents on this deal and they've decided to split it equally. So instead of sending Rebecca 5,000 or instead of sending Belle 5,000, we're going to split the wire. And when she puts the batch in and does the accounting system on the back end, instead of having one agent, she's going to put it in as two agents. And then it's going to appear in both transactions and both parties get credit for that sale. And then the wire goes out independently. So Rebecca doesn't have to worry about cutting Belle a $2,500 check from her personal account and then sending her a 1099 at the end of the year. So Rebecca doesn't pay taxes on it. We do it for you, so that you don't have to. We're already set up for that. Don't do side deals or take it out of your personal account. Just use this form and you could pay whoever you want. I know a lot of agents are paying Jake to TC for them. April uses this form all the time and she'll put Jake right on there and put his pay in there for helping do the transaction stuff on the back end. He's paid out automatically and April doesn't have to worry about it. It's great. April doesn't have to cut him a check. April doesn't have to worry about getting it to him or meeting him. We do it on the back end and we take care of all the tax reporting on the back end for that fee as well. Okay. So don't worry about it. We got you. So if you got a TC, you got a team, you do a co-list, we take care of it. Just report it and we'll take care of the rest. Does that make sense? Yeah? No? Any questions on team commission statements?
So with the team commission statement, only one person turns that in, correct? Like
Yeah.
with Bella and Rebecca, only, like say Rebecca would be the only one to turn this in.
Yes. Yeah, only one. So if you're teaming up, like if you, like, let's say you're doing like a co-listing. So in that example, Rebecca and Belle are just co-listing something. They're not a team. Yeah, they would just pick one person that would do the commission statement. And only one person would turn it in. And then the other person would just be on there as, a person, an additional, we put it in and it says additional agent. So you would see it like on the pay stub, it would say, Rebecca got this, additional agent Belle got this. So it shows that it's a split deal. And that way Rebecca's not paying Belle's taxes. And then Belle doesn't have to worry about getting a 1099 from Rebecca as a person to be able to do her taxes. Like it just becomes a mess if you do it outside of it. So this makes it real clean and easy. But if you are a team, the team principal would be the one to fill this in. So the team principal should always be filling out the commission. So if you have team members under you, we don't want your team members filling out commission statements. We want the team principal to fill out the commission statement and only the team principal. So that's what we would be looking for, because then team members get involved and a lot of times they don't understand who gets paid what, and then it gets screwed up. And so we just want the team principal to fill this out. So if you do have a team or looking to form one, doing the commission cover pages will become your responsibility. You can have them fill it out. I just need you to sign or initial it that says, yes, this is right.
All right. So are you saying that if we have co-listings that we should use this form even if we're not a team?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Because the last one I did the regular form. I think that's where Kathy was like, what do I do? And so,
yeah. Don't worry. She marked it up on the bottom.
Yeah.
She's pretty good about marking up the bottom. Like, okay, well, we got the wrong form, so I'm going to make it the right form just by like filling in. So she does do that. But yeah, we do have a form for it that's way easier to understand. Like you just find out what your net is and then you tell us who to pay.
Okay.
Because really, like for our purposes, we don't care if it's one agent on there or if you have 5 agents on there. Like you can split it as long as they are employed by Realty One. You can split your money with whoever you want to. We just want to know what's the amount, because when we get a commission statement, there's 2 agents, like it has a net on there. But we have no idea like what you guys decided, nor do we even want to be involved in that conversation. So like, we just want to know in advance, like this agent's getting this agent's getting this agent's getting this. And as long as we have that, if somebody comes back and says, I didn't get paid and it's a co-list or a team member, I can pull this out and say, hey, I didn't make this stuff up. I didn't pull it out of thin air. Don't kill the messenger. This is what was reported. This is what we do what we're told when it comes to your money. So having it in writing really kind of helps so that nobody jumps down Kathy's throat. She's a very sensitive soul. We don't want to be yelling at Kathy. So any other questions on team commissions? But yeah, you can use this for co-listings and stuff like that. So please, you don't have to be a team. We designed it for teams. But you can use this if you're co-listing or if you're just teaming up on one listing. No? All right, great. All right, so that covers commission forms. So we went over the commission statement for title, commission processing form, just your general commission processing form, your mentee form. Remember, mentees and mentors should be filling those out together. We need to make sure that those are right, because I promise you, as soon as we get one from a mentee that goes rogue and doesn't check with their mentor, it's wrong. And then it holds it up for a week or more. So if you want paid, please make sure you're doing that with your mentor. That is what you are paying them for. So don't be afraid to ask them, please. They want to help you. We have really, really great mentors in our program who really want to see people succeed. So don't be afraid to reach out to them. And then this team commission processing form is for teams that have team members. Team principal fills it out. Or if you're doing a co-listing with more than one agent, you can also use this too for easy reporting. And that really helps Kathy out too when she's trying to figure out who to pay and when. All right. Any other questions before I let you guys go?
Yes, and you might have gone over it, but I missed it. In the team one, how it doesn't have that base 250. Is there a reason why it's not there?
Probably just because it's not filled in. You would just put in 250. I think the girls updated it, the other forms, because people were forgetting to put in 250, or they were putting in like 450 when it was supposed to be 250.
Okay.
Yeah, you just write it in, and I can update it with that too. But it's just
That's
250.
fine. I know what it is, but I was just
A lot
wondering.
a lot of people put in the wrong amount. So that's why you can see like sometimes on these forms, we have like little notations like, hey, it's only 200 because we get a lot of commission statements that'll be like, it's supposed to be 450, but then they put in 500 because they forget it's only 200 per 200,000, not 250 per 200,000. So we've added little notes along, like every time they find something that keeps coming in wrong time after time after time, they put little notes in there just so people know. A lot of times people are overcharging themselves. You guys do not turn in commission statements where you're trying to get paid too much. You, a lot of times, put them in and you're being paid too little. So that's why we kind of have the check and balances to make sure that you're getting, I mean, that the escrow accounts, how we are set up, and not every brokerage is this way. But when we set up these accounts, we have a commission escrow because we do not want that going into our general operating account. That's how you hear horror stories of like from other agents. That's like, I was working at this brokerage and my commission bounced. Well, that wouldn't be a problem if you're not commingling your funds. So when it comes to Kathy, that commission and escrow has to balance to the penny every night. So she balances every night to make sure that they balance. And that your money is there. When it goes in, it sits there until it goes to you. It doesn't go anywhere else. So that's why she's a little particular on it. That's our role. That's our role to make sure that that never happens. So, all right, guys. Well, that's all I've got for you today. You guys have an amazing day. I'm in New Brighton all day today. If you need me, please feel free to stop in, say hello. If you're in the neighborhood, we always love getting you guys into the New Brighton office, even if this isn't your home office. It makes our day when you guys come in. So I appreciate you all. And of course, I will stay on the line in case anybody has any questions they didn't want to ask in the group. So if you have any questions for me, just hang on until everybody pops off, and I will be here to help you with whatever you need. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.